Sākam preses.
Dear members of the media, welcome to the press conference following the meeting of the presidents of the Republic of Kosovo and Republic of Latvia. We'll start with the statement of the Latvian president. Good afternoon, dear members of media. I'm very happy to welcome today on a working visit President of the Republic of Kosovo, Madam Sadriu, and it is a historic visit. During this meeting, we realized that, in fact, this is the first visit of the Kosovo president to Latvia. A colleague has, however, been in Latvia previously as the member of the parliament, but in the capacity of a president and representing the institution of the presidency of Kosovo, she's here for the first time in Latvia, which only underlines or underscores that our relations, both political and economic, are developing quite rapidly and successfully. And I would like to underline that I confirmed our unwavering support to Kosovo on behalf of Latvia, as well as on their path towards the European Union and continued Euro integration. I myself visited Kosovo this year, in fact, in March this year in spring, when I visited also our soldiers of the KFOR. Currently, we have deployed around 140 soldiers or troops to the Kosovo. And back then, with Madam President, we all discussed bilateral relations, regional security, and I do believe that we are like-minded countries. We're on the same wavelength, on the same page when it comes to a lot of different issues. And I also confirmed that Kosovo's security and foreign policy is fully aligned with the European Union security and foreign policy. We also discussed issues that are relevant in terms of strengthening the security in the Western Balkans. We discussed the situation in Ukraine. We discussed Russian aggression against Ukraine, which requires us to show a firm stance as an international community as a whole. I should also say that we discussed economic cooperation, and we believe that currently, although there is a minuscule, nevertheless there is a growth in trade between our countries, and we are going to discuss further trade relations strengthening options. And I would like to also thank, as I did when I visited Pristina in March, I would like to thank Kosovo for standing by Ukraine and also standing against the unprovoked Russian aggression against Ukraine. We also see that our friends and partners in Kosovo have always stood firmly behind international law and have, in all ways possible, publicly as well as in practical terms, provided support. I also expressed my support, or reiterated rather my support, to the Kaja Kallas, the High Representative of the EU, and Mr. Sorensen, who is negotiating on behalf of the EU in the Belgrade-Pristina dialogue, which is very important. And it is also important to make sure that this dialogue is supported by both sides, not just one side. And from this point of view, it was very interesting for me to hear from my colleague, Madam President, her opinion on where we are in terms of this dialogue and how it progresses and how these regional issues are being resolved. And I should say that we are going to continue debating different issues also later on today, but I do believe that the visit of Madam President to Latvia only confirms the close relations between our two countries, and the interest on both sides is very strong. And there are no issues, basically, that could not be resolved with the help of the Kosovo. So now I think we'll come to a point in time where we are going to record a significant progress when it comes to Kosovo's integration in Europe. We know what our friends in Kosovo want. We know that there are a lot of things that they still need to resolve. Kosovo itself going through different reform processes, as well as garnering the support of all EU member states. But the day when Kosovo will become a candidate country is around the corner, but there's still a lot to be done internally and in terms of foreign policy. With this, I would like to give the floor to my colleague, Madam President, and then we'll be ready to answer your questions.
Thank you so much, Honorable President Rinkēvičs, distinguished media representatives, honored guests, members of the delegations. It is a special honor and joy for me to be here today in Riga on my first working visit to the Republic of Latvia as President of the Republic of Kosovo. And as rightly pointed by Mr. President, this is the very first visit ever of a President of Kosovo to your beautiful country, a country that has really stood by our people during thick and thin. This visit carries a special significance, not only because it marks the continuation of the strong and sincere partnership between our two countries, but also because it also completes my visits to all three Baltic states, nations that Kosovo deeply admires for their resilience, for their democratic spirit, but most importantly for their unwavering commitment to freedom and to peace. It is also a pleasure to return this visit after, Mr. President, you honored us with your presence in Kosovo just a few months ago. Your warm welcome here in Riga, your hospitality and the institutional respect you've extended to our country speaks volumes for the deep friendship between our people. Latvia has stood by Kosovo in the most crucial moments in our history, recognizing our independence just 3 days after our declaration of independence, and continuing to support us in all international forums and organizations, including most recently in the vote of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe in April 2024. For this principled and consistent support within the European Union, within NATO, and all organizations that are where we are, of course, sharing the same values, we are deeply grateful. Today, President Rinkēvičs and I had a substantive and sincere discussion about the many dimensions of our joint cooperation, from security to defense to economic development and shared values in international affairs. We reaffirmed the strength of our bilateral relations, grounded in our common commitment to democracy, freedom, international law, and the rule of law. Kosovo and Latvia are more than just partners. We are allies, as I said, bound by values and a shared vision for a peaceful, secure, and democratic Europe. We hope that while looking ahead, we can intensify our cooperation of mutual interests, such as in economy, as Mr. President mentioned, and I would also hope in defense and security, including joint training programs, cyber defense, and countering hybrid threats, given that we have a similar history, but also similar threats with which we face. Later today, I will visit the Stratcom Center of Excellence, which plays a vital role in promoting information integrity and resilience against malign actors, issues that are more relevant today than ever before. Kosovo sees itself not just as a recipient of peace, but also a contributor to global and regional security. We also discussed the immense potential for economic cooperation between our two countries. We'll continue that discussion over lunch because I truly believe that there is enormous opportunity in that sense, an untapped potential so far. I also look forward to engaging with Latvian businesses and entrepreneurs today as we explore new partnerships in the energy sector, in the ICT sector, agriculture, as well as innovation. Furthermore, I've proposed the establishment of a Kosovo-Latvia Economic Forum to further deepen our economic ties and bring together our investment and innovation agencies. I think the business-to-business ties are always a good step forward in bringing countries and people together. I emphasized Kosovo's readiness to finalize important bilateral agreements between our two countries, so hopefully our line ministries will carry the conversations that will continue today. Latvia's voice in supporting Kosovo's membership in international organizations, in the Council of Europe, as I mentioned, in Interpol and UNESCO, in international financial institutions, has been pivotal. We count on this continued support as we pursue our rightful place in the international community. At the heart of our conversation was also our shared concern. The dangerous imperialistic intentions of Russia, clearly exhibited through their illegal invasion of Ukraine, as well as the growing malign influence through hybrid warfare, cyber attacks, and direct destabilization efforts through disinformation and propaganda. Kosovo stands on the front line in defending Euro-Atlantic values in the Western Balkans, and we do so with determination and resilience, something that we have showcased with our constant support for Ukraine and with aligning with the European Union, immediately the first country in our region to adopt sanctions against Russia. As I said, we are fully aligned on these sanctions, and not just against Russia, but also against other destabilizing factors, despite of the fact that we're not a candidate country for the EU membership yet. This is a reflection of our unwavering commitment to our allies and to the rules-based international order. We believe in the transformative power of the European Union and remain committed to reforms and to meeting all criteria. However, this path must be guided by fairness, by equal treatment and credibility on the part of the European Union. So, Honorable President Rinkēvičs, as we speak, 140 Latvian soldiers are still serving within the NATO mission in Kosovo, constantly contributing to peace, stability, and safety of all of our citizens. And they are joining a few thousand Latvian forces who have served in Kosovo throughout the past 2 decades. This is a testament to Latvia's dedication to our shared values, and I sincerely hope that the support will continue beyond December of this year. Therefore, in my capacity as President of the Republic of Kosovo and Supreme Commander of our armed forces, I have the great honor to award the Latvian peacekeepers with the Presidential Military Medal as a symbol of our profound gratitude and respect for their role in supporting peace and security in my country. I kindly ask you to accept this presidential award in your capacity as Commander-in-Chief of the Latvian Armed Forces. Thank you for the warm hospitality, the friendship towards our country, and the unwavering support to the people of Kosovo. May the friendship between our countries and our peoples continue to thrive. Together we stand stronger for peace, for freedom, and for a better future for all the people in our continent. Thank you.
Paldies.
Thank you. And now we open the floor for questions. Rihards Blume from the Latvian Radio, please. Latvian Radio, Rihards Blume. A question to the President of Kosovo. We know that Serbia and Kosovo are going through different tensions from time to time, tensions that tend to escalate. There are different incidents, if you will, to put it in very simple terms. There are various differences. What is the Russian influence on your region right now, and what is the role of Russia in all of these tensions and escalation between Kosovo and Serbia? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I wouldn't actually call them tensions between Kosovo and Serbia, because we try not to fall into that both-sidism trap. As Latvia knows very well, for many years before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, there were so many voices in Europe and otherwise that were trying to create this both-sidism element, as if they both contribute to tensions. We should never put the aggressor and the victim in the same sack. The same actually happens in Kosovo. Serbia constantly tries to destabilize our country, including through acts of aggression, and we constantly defend ourselves. In the history of the existence of our nation, we have never invaded or attacked even 1 centimeter of any of the territory of our neighbors. What we have always done, though, and what we will continue to do, is defend our independence, defend our territorial integrity, defend peace and the freedom which is hard-won through a lot of sacrifice. The price for the independence of Kosovo, for the freedom that we have enjoyed today, has been immense. But we want to look towards the future, which is why we are constructively engaged in the EU-led dialogue, and I would join the President in fully supporting the work of the High Representative Kallas and the Special Representative for the Dialogue, Mr. Sorensen. We will work closely with them in a way that will show that our proposals, our constructive approach would only contribute to peace and stability in our region. We owe it to the young generations to make sure that all they know in their lives is peace and peace only. And our kids are the very first generation in the history of our nation to have not known war, to have only known peace. We owe it to them to make sure that we keep it that way. And I think there's no more noble mission than making sure that our kids, or the kids of the region per se, never have to go through what we had to go through. Getting to your question on Russian influence, there is zero Russian influence in my country. Unfortunately, I cannot say that for our neighboring country, because Serbia has turned into a proxy state of Russia, whether on political, economic, or military influence that Russia has on Serbia. And through Serbia, Russia tries to have a destabilizing spillover effect, because the more destabilized areas in Europe, the more that would go into Russia's interests. So of course that's what they want, but we will work closely with our allies in the European Union and NATO through deterrence, through prevention, to make sure that none of these destabilization tactics of Russia carried out through Serbia would be successful. So far, we have been successful in thwarting every single destabilization and provocation that came from these malign actors. But of course, they continue to spend more, they continue to try more, whether on propaganda, disinformation, cyber attacks, and other kind of hybrid threats. But the more we work with our like-minded allies, the stronger we are in defending not just the national security of Kosovo, but our collective security, which would in turn help us join the Euro-Atlantic family of nations.
Paldies, tā kā
Thank you. Since there are no other questions, we close the press conference. But as Madam President already mentioned, the medal presentation will happen now for the contribution in promoting peace and stability in scope of the K4. Her Excellency Dr. Vjosa Osmani-Sadriu awards the Presidential Military Medal to His Excellency Edgars, Rinkēvičs, President of the Republic of Latvia, to National Armed Forces.
Paldies par uzmanību.
Thank you. This concludes our press conference.